Let's go to their first claim that they make, which, by the way, put this in your memory bank, because their final point completely contradicts this point. So here we go.
It's generally not the wealthy folks it's people who are living in communities
Whenever something's on the pressure, the people with the least resources.
There's a big discrepancy between who suffers and who causes the suffering.
It's always been the case in the world. There are haves, and then there's a giant swath of have-nots. And for some reason, this one now, we're all like, I'm really concerned about them. But I
mean, what's different now is that climate change is here for a lot of people who are currently suffering, but we all care about it because they know it's coming for them. It'll eventually come for the rich person.
Yeah, it'll eventually come
he looks worried.
for the rich person.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because it's the rich people who are going to have to deal with gas prices and inflation with their electric vehicles, which you've encouraged people to go out and buy, by the way, which also has resulted in an increase in prices, which you then bitch about because you had to kick Elon Musk out of California. Well, he had to leave California, but effectively he was he was forced to leave because of your green policies. Oh, green policies can't coexist with Tesla. You know what affects the poor more? I don't know, $7 gas, crazy high inflation. And here's something that people don't necessarily talk about a whole lot, not just in the United States.
Yeah.
Now, it's inconvenient in the United States, and this is I'm wanting to play, identity politics. But I was at the Cancun Climate Summit years ago, and we went through this, and we ran some numbers. But global skyrocketing energy prices can actually be measured in human lives, just to be clear. 2.3 million people die every year worldwide because they don't have access to safe, clean energy in their homes. So a good example there is if there isn't enough energy for electricity, they have to burn wood in their huts.
Yeah, and they end up dying from respiratory diseases. And guess what? When the IMF won't loan your country money to build those coal-fired plants, you basically go, okay, well, I guess we're just cutting wood down again and burning animal dung in the tents so that we can cook food, and it's just not clean.
Well, also, when you hold a climate summit in Cancun, you can tell you really value it.
Yes, you very much care about people.
Yeah, come on down. We're going to drink giant margaritas.
Right.
Well, who does she think the rich people are?
John Kerry?
No, this country.
AOC?
Everything that she's doing is making a decision from the perspective of a rich person who can afford not
And what's ironic is she goes to John Stewart and says, well, Rich, I'm looking at you. He's like, oh, I am a rich person. You are all rich people if you understand the concept of wealth globally. So let me give you kind of
30 grand and up.
Yeah, the U.S., is it GDP per capita? I think is the number that we have.
Mm-hmm.
GDP per capita is $63,000. Okay. Gas is currently $1.2 a liter. And I'm using this so that we can compare liters to liters. Zimbabwe, GDP per capita is $1,200. That's less than $63,000.
Definitely less.
Gas prices there are 2.1 liters. So $2.1 per liter.
That's insane.
So do the math. Do the math there. What do you think happens to someone who is making, let's say, $1,000, $2,000 a year when gas prices go up to $7, $8, $9 a gallon? And of course, obviously, we see a correlation with all of their energy costs.
Yeah.
Well, they die. They die. And especially knowing what we know, that global cooling is actually far more deadly to the cost of human lives. If you actually look at the numbers, we're doing this all in the name of not seeing our world temperature go up 1.6 degrees per 100 years. Mm-hmm. But the people who are here right now can't afford to live.
Yeah, especially the developing world who didn't have the opportunity that we had. We had the opportunity to go with the cheapest energy sources possible, and we've kind of made our way up that ladder to where now we can afford to do other things. And we're just refusing to do the things that are great, but we can afford it. They can't, and they're paying with their lives because you want gas prices to be artificially high so that people have to switch to electric, which is powered by coal.
Right.
Well, especially when for the last 2 years it's been shut down and everything in our society is based on materialism. It's kind of difficult to keep up.
What?
Poor.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
It was a pregnant pause.
Yes, it was a pregnant pause. And by the way, you might want to take another one of those pregnancy tests.
I will.
Oh, jeez.
Because I don't know if you know this, but that actually means as a man, if that stick turns pink, you have prostate cancer.
Oh, I've already used 11 sticks.
Well, it's a lot of prostate cancer.
Oh.
It's malignant is what I mean to tell you.
Oh.
So here's something else. If enacted, the Paris Climate Accord would not only, we'll go back to global, but here, it would hurt average Americans, not the policymakers, so there'd be 400,000 job losses.
Oh, geez.
$20,000 lost on average to a family of four. All reference available at louderwithcrowder.com. $2.5 trillion in aggregate GDP loss. You'd see a 13 to 20-something% increase in electricity costs. And by the way, as energy costs increase, the risk of deaths increase across the board. In the 2000s, we saw decreases in energy prices. They saved 11,000 lives per year.
Yeah, and those were just actually, I think, winter deaths. Like you said, the cold is actually a much bigger problem than it is in summer months. But 11,000 a year, that's real.
This is a very common
argument.
This is a very common argument that they want to make. They talk about climate justice. Go speak with a black person in inner city Detroit. Tell them that your number one goal on the agenda is climate justice. And they won't know what you're talking about. They'll look at you like you have lobsters crawling out of your ears. And then when you tell them that in order to basically establish some new form of climate justice, I don't know, like a 5-page bill. When you're talking about AOC's bill. What was that bill called again?
Like the Green New Deal?
Yeah, the Green New Deal.
That's what it was.
That's what it was called. That's right. I just forgot about it because
that took up the first page.
I had memorized. They used a very large font. And also, AOC, don't go with Courier New.
Triple spaced.
One with Comic Sans. Tell someone in inner city Detroit that, by the way, in order to enact climate justice, gas prices and your energy prices, your monthly bills are going to have to go up by 20%. Watch them. See how long it takes before you wake up from your ass kicking. Now, here's another claim that they make. Well, this is when they try and get a little more pragmatic. And, of course, this also doesn't work. Everything they say flies in the face of reality. Something else I wanted to, the point that you just made is an important point about, how they haven't been able to use, meaning the third world, the kinds of energy that we have in the United States. It follows food. It actually follows sort of the evolutionary chain of how humans have consumed food, right? So we were primarily nomadic. Then we had the agricultural revolution. Yeah. And then that allowed us to be more sedentary, right? We became more agrarian societies where we had our own plot of farmland. Then you had the industrial revolution. And then after that, things could be shipped, right? So people now no longer had to have a farm, but they could have food in the convenience of their own homes. Same thing with energy. You start off with coal as filthy as can possibly be. Then you have dirtier ways of extracting oil. It gets cleaner. It gets cleaner. You have natural gas. You have fracking. You have cleaner coal energy. Whereas these other people, they're still stuck in being nomadic tribes. Quite literally, by the way, in a lot of these countries. They're still nomadic by nature, let alone dealing with modern forms of energy. You think that you're going to go to the Hutu tribesmen in the plains of whatever, I don't necessarily know where they live. I'm not a geopoliticist. I think you're going to go to them and tell them to buy an EV?
It's not going to work.
Where are you going to plug it in?
Yeah.
Tesla Africa has not taken off quite as well as they had hoped.
The Amish use more energy than people in the third world across the globe. You'd have better luck telling an Amish person to plug in a tape recorder than telling people in Honduras to use an EV. Also,
Tesla in Africa is just an elephant.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, you just jump on its back.
And now we can't hunt them for their tusks. Okay, so.
Got it. Thanks. Now my piano sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's a keyboard, really, so come on. Don't try and oversell it.
It's a guitar.
Don't try and keep up appearances, love. Let's go to their next point, which also makes no sense and flies in the face of reality.
The thing you said that I find interesting is fossil fuels. Those companies, we can't just view them as the enemy in this crisis. They are not just the villain.
They make it, but we use it. Like, they wouldn't make it if we didn't use it. And if we didn't need to use it.
But they could make other stuff that we would just as easily use.
Really?
They own the present. And I don't think you can get them to give up their piece of the present unless you cut them in on the future.
Okay, so a couple of points here. They say they could create other forms of energy that we could use, and then he talks about we need to cut them on a piece of the deal, right? The haves, the have-nots. Okay, let's address the first part. Since you're an energy expert, like what? Sweetheart. I hear this argument a lot, like, oh, well, these fossil fuel companies, they could just create another form of energy. Well, it's like telling Pepsi, oh, they could make chipsets for smartphones. Yeah, but that's not what they do.
Yeah. Well,
that's not what they do. And who are you to tell them what they should do or what they are required to do? I know you want to enforce that through the government by men with guns while also robbing us of our basic right to own firearms. But like what? Like what? Wind? Solar? Is this what you're talking about? Fossil fuel companies could go to wind or solar? Well, it doesn't work. We have this. We've already had the Petri dish. Germany, we've used this example before, and unfortunately now France is actually transitioning to renewables. Why?
No.
Because of international governing bodies that tell them that they should move away from nuclear. Not because it's better for the environment. So Germany, 55% of their energy came from renewables. The references are available on the website. What did they have? What were the results? More carbon emissions. They had brownouts. That's where they would have to sell their energy.
At a loss, I believe.
Their surplus is at a loss. So they'd have periods where they would have no energy, and then they have too much energy because the battery technology isn't there. The storage capacity isn't there. Now, France's energy for a long time, and this is going to be decreasing, was 76% nuclear.
Yeah.
They produced 1/10 of the carbon emissions that Germany did for half the price. For half the price.
Some would say that's a good thing.
Yes.
It's better. So less waste, and it's cheaper.
Well, her suggestion is invent a whole new way to have energy, though.
No. That was the head writer, Dave, who said they could make other things that we could use just as easily.
Right.
And I'm quoting the head writer.
Correct.
Because that's what it said below her. And I'm like, list them, and that's not true.
Hey, she has peaches on her sweatshirt, all right?
All right, well, I'm
She's
fine
fun.
with the peaches. I
She's
have
fun.
a problem with what comes out of her mouth.
Yeah, it's just dumb. I don't understand. It's not Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think we're doing pretty good considering what
Yes, it'll take some time.
How old? Yeah, and people who are poor can't afford that car.
Also, thank you for the Rome reference, because I can segue to aqueducts, which brings us to hydroelectric. By the way, I'm from Quebec.
That's a stretch.
I'm from Quebec. Shut up. I'm from Quebec. It's perfectly appropriate. Our bill was our electric bill was our hydro bill, which would confuse people who would come to like, well, hydro bill. What do you mean your water bill? No, because a huge portion of our electric power came from hydroelectricity. That's something that everyone should. It's basically Swiss Family Robinson, right? You have some running water, okay? You capture it, and by the way, that second, third generation is going to be a bunch of inbred morons. I don't know how people watch Swiss Family Robinson and not just weep for the future. But hydropower, can we do that? Oh no, wait. The left here. Not only do they not want nuclear, they don't want hydropower because we can't build dams in California. You can't build dams because of a fish that can't even swim well.
The smelt.
Damn, damn, damn.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.